Hey everyone, welcome to Jira for Absolute Beginners and Intermediate tutorial. In this course, I'll be covering Jira from absolute basics and I'll be proceeding through to Jira fundamentals and then how to sign up, what are some of the key important things that you need to understand and learn within Jira, how to use it, and then we'll move on further to the test management within Jira using Xray plugin. Okay, so it's a comprehensive course that will be very beneficial for anyone who is using Jira, who is absolutely new to Jira, or even if you have been using Jira. This course will be good enough for the intermediate users as well, because I'll be touching base on the basic topics, intermediate topics, and then the test management, wherein people find real challenges with using Jira as well. So a complete course is coming as part of this series. It will be divided into multiple different videos and we'll start from absolute basic till the advanced section. Now the admin part of the Jira won't be included in this particular series. If you want to learn admin part, there are other series that I have posted. You can go through the Jira administration series that are there on the portal. So what will be the course contents of this particular course? So first we'll start with Scrum, because we'll be mostly working with the SCRUM framework and how to implement Scrum within Jira, how to use Jira for software development. So we'll be following the SCRUM framework. So we'll understand what exactly is Scrum, what is SCRUM framework, roles, artifacts, events, then how you can sign up for a free Jira account and use it for free forever as far as you are within the limits. Then what exactly is an issue, what is Jira dashboard, epic, user story, how to create the user story, how to create the tasks, subtasks. Okay, so all of these topics that you see here on my screen will be covered as part of this series. We'll also understand how to create the product backlog. What exactly is product backlog? How to create sprint? What exactly are sprints? Then how to start the sprint. So basically when the sprint will start, what will happen? What happens during the sprint? How to close the sprint? So these are all the concepts that are really helpful for the Scrum Masters or the product owners, right? So when somebody working with the product backlog, product owner works with that. Working with sprint, closing, starting the sprints, this is all Scrum Master's job. So anyone who is doing the Scrum Master role or wishing to move that journey or want to learn those concepts within Jira, I'll be covering all of that as well. Okay, and then basically what happens basically after the sprint is closed and how you manage all of that within Jira. Okay, so these will be the some of the basic and intermediate concepts and topics that I'll be covering as part of this whole course. Now the next part of this course is the test management within Jira, how you can do test management within Jira. Okay, now Jira by default doesn't come with the test management capability, so we have to rely on the external plugins that are there. So what we'll be learning here is we'll be learning the Xray plugin that is there, the add-on that we'll be installing, and then learning the test management within Jira. So in this particular section we'll be covering the introduction to test management within Jira, how to install the plugin, how to configure it, the overview of Jira Xray, and then how to write the test cases, what exactly are preconditions, test sets, plan, how to add the test cases into test sets, how to add test cases into the test plan, all of those different things that you need to understand as part of the test engineer within the team. All of that will be covered as part of this particular course content and the Jira Xray section. Okay, we'll also cover about the parameterization, how to search the test cases, how to work with the test repository, organize your test cases within Xray, and then how to add the test cases to the test run, how to execute the test cases, right? So more of practical approach to using Jira and actually writing the test case and executing it. So it will give you a very good idea how Jira is actually used within the software development teams to further use it, or how the teams use it in their day-to-day life during the project cycle. Okay, then we'll also understand about importing the test cases from external files and then reporting within Xray, right? So what are different test reports available in Jira Xray? So this is brief about the course contents of Jira Basic and Intermediate, and then Jira Xray, complete Jira Xray. Okay, now let's move on to the actual topic, right? So what exactly, so before we go into the Jira now, let's briefly touch base on what exactly is Scrum. Okay, because we'll be working with the Scrum template within Jira, okay, and the Scrum framework. So we need to understand what exactly is Scrum when I talk about different Scrum artifacts and the roles, etc. So we need to to just touch base a little bit on this. So Scrum is nothing but an agile software development framework. It's a framework. Okay. It is used to develop software based on iterative and incremental processes, right? So what Scrum is actually, it's a framework which defines the standard approach, okay, to do the software development in iterative and incremental process. Now, if we talk about agile or any agile software development framework, they embrace the values and principles defined in Agile Manifesto. And I have covered this all in very detail in other tutorials wherein I have covered the Scrum in detail. So I'll post the link for that so you can go ahead and watch that as well. Now, Scrum is a framework that will be implementing, or that most of the 90% of the software development team follow Scrum, and mostly wherever you will go, you will be most probably working with the Scrum framework within Jira. Now, Scrum is a framework, so you will be able to understand Scrum very easily, but to master Scrum is difficult, right? So it's as and when you keep working within the software development teams who uses Scrum, you will get more used to it, and you will get basically more comfortable with the actual processes and the things around Scrum. Okay, but in terms of understanding the rule and uses of Jira, it will be absolutely simple. Now, Scrum is founded on empiricism and lean thinking. When we say empiricism, it's basically asserts that the knowledge comes from experiencing and making decisions based on what is observed, right? So that's where Scrum is based on empiricism, because you do the software development in iterative approach, so in short cycles, which is known as sprint, time box cycle, so 2 to 4 week cycle, and then you see that yes, after 2 weeks what has been built. Okay, so you get more knowledge when something is built in 2 weeks, and you see that, and then you are able to make better decisions in next sprints and building on top of the iterations, okay, or the sprint. Now, lean thinking is about reducing the waste. So any extra meetings, any unnecessary documentation, all of that is kind of a waste, right? You shouldn't be doing unnecessary work that is not adding too much value or not adding value to your project. So lean thinking is another important aspect on which Scrum is founded, right? So this is basic of the Scrum. Now, the Scrum framework, if we talk about briefly, so we have the product backlog, right? So this is just a framework or process that the team will follow to deliver the work from start to finish. Okay, when we say increment, this is the end product, right? This is the working code or whatever the team will be building. Now, when we say product backlog, consider it as a requirement which comes in the form of user stories, and that forms the product backlog. Okay, what exactly you want to build? You need to first get the requirement, and that's the product backlog. Then the team, the Scrum team or the development team will pull the items from this backlog. They'll do the planning that what we need to build in the increment, in the sprint, because Scrum is incremental approach. So there'll be time boxed iterations, 2 to 4 week cycle. So there'll be a planning meeting, sprint planning meeting prior to every sprint, basically, or as soon as the sprint starts, the first thing will be the sprint planning meeting. The items, the work items from the product backlog, the prioritized one, which are at the top, and prioritization will be done by the product owner, which is one of the role of the Scrum. So a person will be a product owner. Okay, so those items are being pulled, they are being discussed, and that forms the sprint backlog. So whatever, say for example, 5 people are working within the team, whatever work they can do in 2 weeks is their capacity. As per their capacity, they'll pick the number of work items from the product backlog, and that will be the sprint backlog. Okay, and then they'll start working every day. They'll do some work on the work items or the user stories that they have picked to be built in these 2 weeks, which is sprint, and they'll meet daily, right? So that's what daily Scrum or daily Scrum meeting is, okay, to see that whether they are able to progress fine, and they'll be able to close the work items that they have taken within the sprint. And they answer 3 main key questions. Every person answer 3 main key questions within the team. So what they have done yesterday, what they are doing today, and are there any blockers, right? So if there are any blockers, Scrum Master will help to remove the impediments or the blockers, right? After 2 weeks of this daily Scrum and the work that continuously happens, there will be an increment or working code, right? So increment is something that can be deployed or potentially shippable, that can be showcased. It's not something that has just been documented, right? That's not of value. More value is something working code, some application that actually works, right? So that is increment. And then the sprint review, which happens wherein the showcase in demo happens, if there are any feedback from the stakeholder, from the customer, that will be basically taken back and moved, done or added into the product backlog so that it can be implemented in the next cycle. Okay. And then sprint retrospective meeting is the meeting that needs to happen within the team to see what the team has done good, what they have done not very well, and what improvements and action need to be taken, right? So this is briefly what exactly the Scrum framework is all about. Okay, so it's a process, and there are people within this whole process that work with this particular approach and the process to deliver the increment and the working software, right? So once the first sprint is over, they'll again pick some items from the product backlog. That will be the second sprint until the potentially shippable or whatever the shippable product needs to be built for the customer. Okay, so this is how this increment or the iteration will keep going on. Okay, so this is what the Scrum framework is. Now when we talk about the key roles in Scrum, the roles are the product owner, Scrum master, and development team. Only 3 roles. Development team is all the business analyst, any business analyst, tester, developer. It's a team, right? It's a development team that is actually building the increment, the working product. Okay, so there is no segregation of the roles. So internally there will be people who are the architects, who are the solution architect, developers, testers, but it's kind of a complete team that can build a potentially shippable increment. Okay, product owner is the person who is the customer's voice, who gets the requirement and articulates the requirement. Scrum master is the servant leader, facilitates the work, right? And Scrum master can also be a part of development team, right? These are the 3 key roles. Okay, now what are the artifacts? Product backlog, sprint backlog, and product increment. These are the 3 artifacts, important artifacts. So product backlog is the overall backlog or the work item that needs to be delivered as part of the project. Sprint backlog is what will be built in that particular sprint. Say for example, sprint 1, how many stories need to be built, how many requirements will be built. Product increment is the working code or potentially shippable code or the build. Okay. And then Scrum Events, so the sprint planning, daily Scrum, review, and retrospective, right? So sprint is something which you have already understood, that it's a 2 to 4 weeks time boxed iteration. Sprint planning is the meeting that happens prior to sprint starting, right? So what needs to be built in this particular sprint based on the priority. Daily Scrum is daily Scrum meeting that happens within the team, and people or the team member, development team member, answer 3 important questions: what they have done yesterday, what they are planning to do today, and any impediments or blockers. Okay, sprint review is where when the sprint is over, then the showcase will happen, right, to gather the feedback from stakeholders and from other members of the team, that whatever was thought or whatever were the requirement, whatever user stories have been picked, whether they are being built and the expectation of the customers have been met. Okay, so that happens in the review, showcase, demo, and the feedback. And then the retrospective meeting is within the team to understand what has went really well, what hasn't gone really well. Okay, and then what needs to be improved in further sprints. Okay, so these are some of the key concepts about the Scrum before we actually proceed with the Jira. Okay, I thought I'll cover this because now you know when I refer to all these concepts, when we say events or the roles, you will be able to correlate them very well within Jira. Okay, so now let's go ahead and sign up for Jira account and start learning Jira. Okay, so let me minimize this and let's go to Jira. Okay, so here just go to google.com and just type in Jira. Okay, so you'll get to the official website of Jira. So simply go to the Jira official website and let's go ahead and sign up for Jira. Okay, now if you go to the Jira software, you will see that Jira is the tool for the development team. Okay, mostly used by agile teams to plan their work. Okay, so if you're following Scrum or Kanban, so now we'll be following Scrum within a Jira, using Scrum template within Jira, we'll be following Scrum framework, so we'll be understanding all of the software development using Scrum within Jira. Okay, so it's an agile project management software used by agile teams and mostly by the software development team or the IT support team, and there are many other use cases and departments that are using Jira accordingly. Okay, now the free plan of Jira supports up to 10 users. So as far as you are up to 10 users, you will get Jira absolutely free. It includes 2 GB storage and offers the community support, and it is always free, no credit card required. Okay, so this is important basically, that you won't be needing any credit card as well. Okay, now let me sign up again. I'll simply say get it free, and then here, because I'm already signed in, I'll sign in with different account. Okay, so I'll remove these accounts. Okay, so to sign up, this is the sort of first page that you will get. Okay, so you can sign up with your Google account. If you have a Gmail account, you can sign up with Google or sign up with the email. I'll sign up with the email. Okay, and I will simply say RCV Academy Live, and I'll say one there. Okay, and then I'll say RCV. Okay, and then simply agree. You can also use your Google account, that's not a problem. Okay, now the next thing is that if you're signing up with the email, that it will send you a verification link. Okay, and then you have to basically go ahead and check that particular link. So let me refresh my email. Okay, and you will get the link something like this if you're signing up with the email. Okay, so we'll simply go ahead and verify the email and then create the password. Okay, but the best way to sign up for the Jira account is if you have the Gmail account. Most of you will be having it, so go ahead and sign up with the Google account. That will be much easier. Okay, but anyways, let's create the password. So I will say okay, and then simply sign up the password. Okay, now the next thing is that it will ask for your site name. Okay, so site name is the unique name that you need to provide there. Okay, so I'll simply say RCV. So if it is not available, it's kind of a domain that it needs to be available, so you need to provide a unique name there. So I will simply say RCV Jira. Let's see if it is available. Yeah, so it is available. Okay, and then you will see a green tick there, and simply say agree, and then you can access Jira in RCV with the site rcvjira.atlassian.net. Okay, so that's how your link will appear, or the Jira link will appear. So once you have provided the site name, it will start building the overall configuration, right? So what type, you can skip all of this. Okay, but because we are doing the software development, I'll simply select the software development, and then I'll simply say QA manager here. All right, and then let's skip rest of it. So it will set up the site, and you don't have to do anything else because we are signing up for the cloud version, so it's all easy to sign up. So you will see that it has did the configurations, pinned up the instance, and you will see that rcvjira.atlassian.net welcome software, right? So you can see that there are some questions. We can simply skip it, right? Or if you say new to Jira, and then you can answer these questions accordingly, it will give you the tips later. Okay, so I'll skip all of this as of now. Okay, the next thing is that we need to start basically creating the project, right? So as soon as you will sign up, you will see that you need to add the project details, right? So you can change these details anytime in your project settings, but then first thing you have to add the project. Okay, so let's first add let's say I'll add a Zoho CRM project. Okay, Zoho CRM project, so our sample project. Okay, and then here we'll change the template to Scrum. Okay, because we are learning Scrum within Jira, or Scrum is the most popular framework used in the industry nowadays. So we'll use or change the template to Scrum instead of the Kanban that was set. Okay, so we'll simply say Scrum and use Scrum template. Okay, now there are two options that you see here: team managed and company managed. Okay, so team managed is for the teams who want to control the Jira by themselves. Okay, because all the configurations that are done in the project that you're creating, if it is team managed, then it won't be impacting other teams within your Jira instance. But if it is a company managed Jira project, then there are a lot of schemes within Jira that run in the background. For example, your workflow scheme, your screen scheme. So all of that, if they are kind of shared, and if one of the project changes it, then it will impact all other projects within your Jira instance. So that's what difference between company managed and team managed is all about, right? So it will give you a simplified configuration, and the company managed will give you an expert configuration. So as of now, because I'm the Jira administrator, okay, and I want to show you all of the features that you mostly will be using or seeing in the actual Jira instances. So I'll do the company managed. Okay, so I'll say select company managed. Okay, so now it is changed to the type of company managed, and we'll simply say create project. So the project will be created as well. Now you need to select some of the tools, so we'll connect them later. Not a problem. I'll simply skip it, and then you can invite the teammates. Okay, so all of this happens initially itself, but you can do all of this later as well. Okay, so I'll simply uncheck this. I don't want teammates to invite other people. So I'm not inviting anyone as of now. I'll simply move to. So as soon as you will be signed up successfully, right, this is the page that you will see. Okay, you will see the quick start. All right, so I'll simply dismiss the quick start. Okay, and then you will be seeing the roadmap. So let's briefly understand a few of the details on this particular board here, right, or this project that has been created. So we are on the project board. So the first thing is, this is the board that is available, right, and then we have the roadmap, okay, which is the basic roadmap that is available here. Then this is the backlog, okay, wherein the product backlog will basically go, right. So I explained Scrum because there is a direct correlation of the Scrum framework with the Scrum template that we have created here, right, and how it will be used in your project. Okay, so then in the active sprints is what the sprint backlog will be, and all the sprint work items will be shown here, whatever the team will be picking up in the sprint and start building, right. And then we have certain reports and all other things that you can see here, right. So like the release, the components, etc. Okay, but mostly we'll be working very close to the Scrum framework that we have seen. Okay, so you will see this message, does your team need more from Jira? So we don't want to go to the standard plan. I'll simply cancel it. We just want to stay on the free plan. Okay, so this is about the signing up for Jira. Now, what is the first topic that we need to cover? Okay, so let's go to the contents, course contents, and we'll start covering the topics one by one. So we have understood about the Scrum Framework, roles, artifacts, events, and we have signed up for the Jira free account. Okay, now what is an issue in Jira? Very important thing. The first and foremost thing is we need to understand what exactly is an issue. So issue, any type that you see, for example, epic, story, bug, task, subtask, any type that you see within Jira is an issue. Okay, it's an issue. So any project that is being delivered. So when we say any project that needs to be delivered, it's whether you are building your house, whether you are doing a software development, there are a set of tasks that need to be done, right? So if these set of tasks are documented, that yes, we have to get this particular system, we have to install this particular software, then we have to use this programming language, and we have to code this to enable this particular feature, right? So all of these tasks are created within Jira, and different issue types will be used to create these tasks. So if it is a requirement, it will be in the form of user stories. If it is very high level requirement, it will be kind of an epic. Okay, below the epic will come the user story. If there is any deviation from the requirement, or the code is not working as expected, it will be a defect, or the bug will be created. So issues in Jira, if we go ahead and simply click on this plus sign here, you will see that we have the issue is story, task, bug, epic. These are the default issue type that you will get when you will create a Scrum or a project using the Scrum template. Okay, this list could change if you are using Jira for some other purposes, and there could be custom issue types here as well. Say for example, test issue type is not shown here yet, but as soon as we will install test management plugin within Jira, you will be able to see test issue type here as well. Okay, so issue in Jira is any work item or the bug, or basically bug is also kind of a work item. It's a deviation from the expected result. So any work item that needs to be part of the project delivery is an issue within Jira. Okay, now the next topic is what is Jira dashboard, right? So Jira dashboard, briefly if we talk about, is the dashboard. So as soon as you will see here, once the project has been created, you will be in the project section. If you go to the dashboard and click on view all dashboards, you will see a default dashboard will be available, right? So if you click on default dashboard, this is kind of a dashboard, like a single place wherein you can add the important aspects of your project and you can see it, right? So for example, this is the default dashboard wherein there will be multiple widgets available. Okay, and on the widgets, important information can be displayed. For example, what all projects are there, what are the activities that are happening, what are the issues that are assigned to a person who is signed up, right, or who's signed in. Okay, you can go ahead and edit the dashboard, right? So click on these three ellipses here, okay, and click on, if you see that here, not here, we can go and create a new dashboard from here. So as a test engineer, as a developer, or any person who is working, you can create your own dashboard and customize all of the details that you see on the dashboard, right? But To edit this particular dashboard as well, if I click on edit, then I can add different gadgets here. Okay, so this is the default dashboard, and you need to be a administrator in order to edit this particular dashboard. But if you want to create your own dashboard, you can go ahead and create your own dashboard and add the gadgets that you like. For example, I can go ahead and add a gadget, say for example assigned to me, or I want to see the specific issue statistics, right? So for example, issue statistic, I want to see what all issues are in the progress. So I can keep adding those and then click on done. Okay, then those widgets will be added here, and you will be able to see the details or the issues that are there in this particular dashboard section. Okay, and you can go ahead and configure the gadgets, right? So basically if I go ahead and edit, right, so we haven't configured them yet. So if we go here and click on configure, so you can update the configurations here. All right, as this. Okay, so I can go ahead and add different fields that I want to see here in this gadget, and in, say for example, assigned to me, and save it. Okay, similarly issue in progress, and then there are other gadgets that have been added. Okay, so this is briefly what the dashboard is. We won't be going ahead and covering a lot more configuration around the dashboard, but this is briefly how you can edit the existing dashboard. If you want to create a new dashboard, click on the ellipses and click on create a dashboard. Okay, and I'll say this is my dashboard. Okay, and you can see that I can create a dashboard, and it can be only private, which is only to me, or I can share it across the group, say for example a particular group of testers or whichever groups are there, or across the organization, or only the project. So I just want to share this particular dashboard only to the project members, and within that as well I can specify the specific role. Okay, so if I want to share, I simply add all of the details here and click on add. Okay, so you'll see that for this particular project, all roles will be able to see this particular dashboard that I'm creating now, and I'll simply go ahead and save it. Okay, so you'll see that my dashboard has been created, and I can now go ahead and add the gadgets here. Okay, so I can simply go ahead and add the gadget. So you can simply add the gadget from here or click on here. Okay, so either ways you can do. So I'll simply click on add a gadget, and I can say, okay, add the activity stream here. Okay, and then add another gadget, and I'll say add assigned to me. So accordingly, whatever I want to basically do in terms of configuration, I can go ahead and add those details in the gadget. Okay, so I can add the pie chart is another important one, which I use most of the time, right? So we can add the pie chart and configure the pie chart accordingly. For example, in the statistic type, so I want to change it to the creator or the assignee accordingly, right? So and then getting the project filter. So for example, you have to check the status of the created versus resolved, right? So you create a filter and then use that particular filter here. Okay, so this is how you are going to configure the dashboard. Okay, or create the dashboard and configure it. Okay, now if I have to remove or delete these gadgets, I can simply click on 3 ellipses in the gadget and click on delete. Okay, and that gadget will be removed. Okay, once you are done, click on, so that dashboard will be basically created. Okay, so my dashboard is there, and now you can see if I go here, there is a default dashboard and there is a my dashboard, which is the new dashboard that I create. Okay, so this is briefly what the dashboard is and how you are going to edit and customize and create the dashboard, new dashboard with the new gadget. Now, what is the next topic? The next topic is what is an epic. Okay, and how to create epic in Jira. So epic in Jira is a big user story, you can think of it that way, right? So it's a big piece of work that can span multiple sprints, and as I explained previously, that sprint is the time box iteration. Okay, so it could be 2 to 4 week cycle. So if the work item cannot fit, or basically the epic will be the big piece of work that will span multiple sprints. Okay, so for example, if I talk about the registration functionality, all right, or capturing the lead functionality. Okay, so let me open the requirement sheet as well. Okay, so you can see that. So if we talk about here, okay, so this is the Google sheet for the user stories that I have created. Okay, and this is from one of my batches, the face-to-face classes, okay, and students have created some of the user stories here as well. Okay, so when we talk about the lead management, say for example, okay, lead management is something which captures all the functionalities about the lead, right? So lead management is a big piece of work that cannot be implemented in just 1 or 2 weeks, right? It will have the large number of user stories within it, right? So lead management, contact management, account management, these are all, say for example, epic, big piece of work. Okay, so this is what the epic is. All right, and now how you are going to create epic in Jira? Absolutely simple. Okay, so if we go to Jira here and go to the project, right? So we'll go to our project, and to create an epic, there are multiple ways. Okay, I can go to this plus sign here. Okay, so basically it's showing as plus sign because I have zoomed in, right? If I zoom out, you will see that the create button will be available. So you simply click on create. Okay, and here from the issue type, you simply select the epic, right, and provide the epic name. Okay, so for example, lead man, right? So lead management epic name we have provided, and then provide the summary. Okay, so we'll say lead management capability for CRM. Okay, and then if there are components defined within Jira, then you can specify the components. If there are any attachments that need to be there for this particular epic, you want to provide the description, which most probably will be there when you are working the real project. What exactly this epic is all about, what needs to be built, right? All of that description will go in here. Who will be the reporter, and then all other details, for example, linkage, blocked issues, etc. And then who is the assignee, right? So as of now, it will be automatic. So all of these details will be basically available there. Okay, so you can select accordingly and then click on create. Okay, so once you will create, the epic will get created. Okay, so issue created but not visible, because if it is not visible here, but if we go to the backlog here, right, and go to the epics, you will see lead management epic has been created. Okay, so that's the one way to create epic. Okay, now I can basically go ahead and create epic directly from backlog, and this is kind of the best way or the most streamlined way that product owners and the teams follow. They go to the backlog and manage everything from here, and this is mostly for the product owner and scrum master to manage all the work item here in the backlog, because this is the product backlog. So to create an epic from here, simply click on create epic, and it will open the same detail or same window as we have seen there. Okay, so let's go ahead and create few more epic here. Okay, so I will simply, and first one more thing you have to remember here, that you have the project drop down as well, right? So you can select which project you are going to create these issues for, right? So in the issue type, definitely you have to select epic because we are creating epic, and the project as well. If there are multiple projects, you have to make sure that you have selected the right project where you need to create these epics. Okay, so let's go to the second epic, and here I'll say contact management with the contact man. All right, management, just a brief summary there, and that should be it. So you'll see that two epics have been created here, lead management and contact management. So basically in the real projects, you will see that the epic list here will be a big list here, depending on what the size of the project is. If it's a big project or a small project that will span for just 2 to 3 months, you might have less number of epics here. If it is a project that spans for 6 to 8 months, a year, then you will have a large number of epics here, and then within the epic you will have the user stories. Okay, so this is how you are going to create epic. Okay, so we have understood what exactly are epic and how you are going to create epic. Okay, now what is user story, right? So user story, very important question as well. So user story is you can think of it as a requirement, but that's not absolutely correct to correlate a user story with the requirement. User story is a requirement, okay, but user story is defined in a form of the persona, the end user, what the end user is going to do with that particular application, how the end user is going to interact, what value add this particular software that you are trying to build or the feature that you are trying to build provides to the end user. That's what the user story is all about. Okay, and user stories are written with a particular format. So there is a persona, and then what the persona need is, and what the outcome is, right? So persona, need, and outcome. So if we talk about the user story, the sample user story from the sheet, let me open that. that. So you'll see that here, say for example, the first user story for lead management. As a marketing manager, so persona who is requesting this particular feature is, or who will be using this feature, lead management, the marketing manager, right? So as a marketing manager, what is the need? I want to create leads manually, right? So this is something, the need, okay, so that I can capture leads which are coming from non-automated streams. Okay, so this is basically what the outcome is all about. Okay, so persona, need, and outcome. Okay, and if we go to the user story, let's say I search user story, there is very good article as well. I want to touch base on that. So if we go to this Atlassian website, they have explained user story in a very good form as well. So I would highly recommend you guys reading this particular article to understand more about the user story. But briefly, if we talk about, you will see the user story format is the persona, okay, is expressed as persona, need, and the purpose. Okay, so persona, need, and purpose. So here, as we have seen, the persona and the need is to create leads manually. The persona is marketing manager, and the purpose is to capture the lead which are coming from non-automated source streams. Okay, so this is how the user stories are being written and what exactly a user story is. Now, in a way, it's a requirement, right? But it's not 100% technical requirement, or that will guide you to basically implement everything. And that's where this is further broken down into tasks when the development team picks these user story. The whole idea behind the user stories is that anybody in the business, in the technology, in the team who is reading these user stories is on the same page. It's not a technical jargon that the business cannot understand, right? So if everybody in the business can understand, including the customer and the end user and the person who has requested this particular feature, basically maybe it's an end user or the customer, they are able to understand what they are going to get. And then the technical team, the development team will basically break it down into subtasks and create the technical details or the tasks that are required to build the technical capabilities so that this business capability is being achieved in the product. Okay, so this is what the user story is all about. Now, user stories will have different features. So basically, feature is create leads manually, and then there will be multiple scenarios, right? So there is, you know, if you see, there are different features here, right? So there is one scenario, and then there is another scenario, okay, and then there will be another scenario. So a user story can have multiple scenarios within it, which is basically kind of an acceptance criteria as well. Okay, so now this is what the user story is. Okay, now how to create a user story in Jira is also very simple. The process is absolutely similar as we have seen for the Epic. Okay, so I can click on this plus sign here, and instead of the issue type, right? So once we have selected the project where we want to create the user story, instead of the Epic, I simply need to create a story, right? So I'll select the issue type as a story, and then I'll provide the summary of the story. Okay, so in the summary, I will simply say this is the summary. Okay, so the whole user story here, I'll copy that and paste it here in the summary. Okay, and then if there are any specific attachments, wireframe, etc., that will be added in the description. All of the details about the different scenarios, right, will go in here. Okay, so we'll add different scenarios there and create it, right? So say for example, we'll add the feature and the scenario that is there, and then the user story will be written, or the scenario is written in given when then format. So given and so given user is on the CRM homepage, and user clicks on the leads link, and user clicks on create a lead button, and user provides all the mandatory information in the form. When user clicks on save button, then the lead should get created successfully, right? So plain English in the form of Gherkin language, which is basically given when then format. Okay, so given and to add multiple actions, and then when something happens, what should happen, right? So this is how the scenarios are basically written or articulated. You enter all of those details, and then the important thing is linked issues, right? So if you will see that here, if we link this issue, right, so which particular issue this is linked to, okay, you can specify the linkage directly from here as well. Okay, and because this is linked to, or this is the lead management, right, so we can simply say relates to, right, and then we can select the issue. Let's say sorry, not here, so just give me a moment. So here, okay, in the Epic, right? So selecting the epic. So this is the lead management, right? So we can select the epic link directly from here. So we'll select the epic link, okay? And in the related issues, if say for example this user story is related to some other user story or the task as well, you can specify that issue here in the relates to, or depending on different link types here, right? So say for example is duplicate or it clones, etc. You can specify that, okay? But because this is the lead management story, so we'll associate it with the lead management epic, okay? And then simply create. So this is how you are going to create the user story in Jira. So as soon as you will create this user story, now because we have associated this user story to the lead management, you will see that this user story is available now into the backlog. And this is nothing but the product backlog from the Scrum that we have seen, right? So this is the backlog that is available here. Okay. Now there is other way to create these user stories here very quickly. So simply say, for example, in the lead management, I want to create another user story. So simply select the lead management, and then you will see that in the backlog itself, you have this create issue directly from here. Okay. So I can simply click on create issue, and from this drop down, you can see you can create either task, bug, or story. Now we are creating the story. So we can simply provide the story details here. Okay. So I will simply go ahead and copy the next story here. So say for example, this is the story that I want to create. Okay. I'll copy that and simply put the details here and hit enter. Okay. You will see that another story has been directly created here, and you will see the lead management link automatically gets associated. This is the benefit of creating the user story from here. If you just highlight the particular epic where you want to create the user story, now see this is highlighted. If I click on this contact management, and you will see none of the user stories are available here. Now if I'll create an issue here and create a story here, this will be linked to the contact management. Okay. So if I go and say for example choose one for the contact management, okay, and create it here and hit enter, you'll see contact management epic has been listed. Okay. Now the problem with this approach is that you have to go ahead, if say for example I have to go ahead and update few more details there. Let me minimize this. Okay. So I have to manually open it, okay, and then update the description and all other details later. Okay, but that's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. But at least in terms of managing the details directly here, it becomes a lot easier that you can quickly create all the user stories directly in the backlog section here for each of the epics, and then you can edit more details. For example, now I can go ahead and open and edit the description, right, and all other details that I want to edit here. Okay, the priority, etc. So this is how you are going to create the user stories. Okay, let me finalize these user stories. Okay, so we have created this user story. So let me add a scenario there as well. Okay, I have added the scenario and the details there in given when done format and simply save. Okay, so similarly, I'll go to the next one, this one, and edit the details in here as well. Okay, so I can simply click on this. I can also edit the description here itself. Okay, in the right hand side, instead of directly opening the whole page, I can do that as well. Okay, finalize it and I'll edit it later. Okay, so once you have done all the details here, I'll simply save it and I'll format it later. So this is how you are going to create the user story. Now what is the next topic? So how to create a user story. Now what is task in Jira, right? So what is task and what is subtask? Okay, so task is another issue type. Okay, so if you see here, if you go to the plus sign, right, so here you will see in the drop down we have a task. Now why do we need a task issue type in Jira? The relevance is basically not all the requirements that you are having. So for example, user story, right? So user story is something which needs to be built to provide a value to the end user, right? So not all the work that you will be doing in your project will be providing a direct value to the end user. There need to be some sort of enabler as well. Okay, so for example, you are the new in the project and you need to do a development environment setup, right? So will that be a user story? No, absolutely not, right? It's not providing any user value or the functionality to the end user. It's the development environment is the setup that you need to do in order to start coding. So any of those type of activities that are enabler in your project that need to be built before you can actually build the functionality. Okay, for example, development environment setup, test environment setup, right? Any software installation that is required for you to progress further. Those are the work items that will be managed as part of the task, right? So this is what the issue type task is all about. about. And in order to create the task, it's absolutely simple. You simply select the project where you want to create the task, select the issue type as task, and here I'll simply say configure development environment. Okay, and then if, say for example, this is for you simply assign it to yourself, whosoever is creating this particular task. And then if it is related to a particular epic, or usually the tasks will be kind of independent. They can be related, right, but it will be mostly independent, and the sprint we'll talk about later. Okay, so simply provide all the details. If there are descriptions, provide the description, and the priority as well. If say for example this task is highest priority, choose the priority accordingly, and labels if relevant. So for example development. Okay, so labels are used to tag the issues with a particular label, so you can search those tagged issues quickly with the label, right? So you can specify the labels if required, and then click on create. So this will create a task. Okay, so the task will get created, and you will see that if we simply clear all filters, okay, you will see that the task is also listed in the backlog, right? So configure development environment is being configured, is being available here. So this is what the task is and how you are going to create task. Now what is a subtask? Okay, so subtask in Jira is, say for example you are a team, and you are building, or you have started discussing about this user story. As a marketing manager, I want to create leads manually. Let me open this in new tab. So as a marketing manager, I want to create leads manually so that I can capture leads which are coming from non-automated streams. Okay, now this needs to be built, but there needs to be a lot of technical details that need to be implemented for you to build this, right? So there will be a design activity that will happen, there will be a development activity, there could be some configuration activity that can happen, there will be a testing activity, test case design activity that needs to happen in order to complete this user story, right? So if all of these activities need to happen, where will you capture these? Can you create a task for those? But task is completely independent thing, right? It's not a related thing within the user story, right? You won't be creating a development environment setup for each and every user story, right? But for each and every user story, you will be doing some sort of a design, development, test, right? So these are kind of a subtasks that need to be there for each of the user stories. So anything that is a part of the user story or a child of the user story that needs to be done, the tasks that need to be done for the user story to complete is a subtask. Okay, now in order to create a subtask, you simply open the user story, and you will see the option, the ellipsis here. Okay, not here, sorry, this icon here, create subtask, right? So I can simply click on create subtask, and you'll see the subtask details. So for example, this is design, or I'll say create design. Okay, so create design, and then create design will be created, right? And then develop. Okay, there'll be more details around here, but then test case design, and then say for example test execution. Okay, so these are the work items that need to be done within this particular user story in order to ensure that yes, this particular user story has been completed, right? So these are the subtasks, the child items of a particular user story. So there is a difference when you should be creating task and when you should be creating subtask. Okay, task is a independent activity or the work item, kind of an enabler, okay, and can be performed independently. But then subtask is related work item for a parent item or parent user story. Okay, so that's what the subtask is and how you are going to create a subtask. So within the user story, simply you go ahead and click on this create subtask. Okay, if I minimize this, you'll see the create subtask available very clearly here. Okay, if you'll simply click on create subtask, you will be able to create these subtasks directly within the story. Okay, so this is briefly about what exactly is a subtask and how to create the subtask in Jira. Okay, so I think that's all for this particular part 1 of this Jira for Absolute Beginner series. So we have covered about the SCRUM Framework, roles, artifacts, events, how to sign up, then different issue type, what is the dashboard, epic, what exactly is epic, how you are going to create it, how you are going to create user story, task and subtask. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the part 2 of the the tutorial wherein I'll be covering about the product backlog, sprint, and all other remaining items that are here. And then we'll move to part 3, which is about the test management within Jira using Xray. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Thank you very much for watching.